So what we can do now, because talking about the community, and Julia Drapkin, founder and CEO of ISeeChange, is doing a lot of work in this regard in terms of engaging the community into the solution development. And maybe, Julia, you can tell us just in general what your experience has been working with ISeeChange, and maybe we can transition directly into the second panel discussion, which will go into more detail about the platform that you guys have built and the use of data.
Sure.
So, but first, you want to tell us just generally what your thoughts are and opinion in getting the public involved.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Julia Kumari Drapkin, and I'm the CEO and founder of ISeeChange. And what we do is we are a platform that mobilizes community stories and data together as a singular product. So social media plus an aspect of local, ground truth data to inform public planning, infrastructure design, monitoring and evaluation, and emergency preparedness. So basically, when we are talking about all of these dynamics, and I think, and we were just talking about the Gowanus Canal, and the idea that climate change is not a static; it is a constant, continuing problem. It's not like fixing a pothole. So the ways that we've traditionally engaged with both data and the public need to change, need to evolve. These are nuanced issues, and there's a continuum around them. So ISeeChange is a new way of doing public engagement and climate modeling for the next generation. So you can think of it kind of like Nextdoor for the environment, except we're actively looking for residents we hear from the least, and we're empowering them with the ability to monitor their environments and their local neighborhoods in detail. Let me go ahead and share screen so you guys can see what that looks like, or not. I can't do that, but you could go ahead and I'll give you guys the link here in the chat. It's right here. And if you look, in fact, I think I just found a sighting from the Gowanus Canal. We have folks who are keeping rain gauges, measuring flood height, telling us about water quality, the fact that when it floods, they can't play in their yards, that they can't get to work. So we're collecting that qualitative data alongside the quantitative data, and we're doing that at scale. We have users in 118 countries. And we've been able to partner with engineering firms like Stantec, the city of New Orleans. We're working with the city of Miami, and also local community groups who want to engage this process more formally and collectively. We've been able to demonstrate places where the modeling is not accurate enough, not granular enough, and flat out wrong. And we can do modeling at very low level flood events. So we can model a 2-year flood event or a 5-year flood event when a lot of the hydrological modeling around flooding is mostly hitting that 10-year mark. And what's really critical about that is most of the infrastructure, green infrastructure and kind of lower cost infrastructure projects are hitting that 2 to 5-year storm event. So we were able to demonstrate that specific neighborhoods in the Gentilly Resilience District, this is one of the NRDC projects, and I think Andrea would know that New York and New Orleans got a huge resilience design awards from HUD, one of our federal agencies here. And those designs were made using very general tools. And when you actually looked at where it flooded in the neighborhood, there was a mismatch in terms of the intensity and the location of that flooding. Community members live in those neighborhoods. They are way faster and cheaper and more widely available than the most next generation satellites or sensors. And they will tell you exactly what they want. So why wouldn't we mobilize them alongside more technical data to get better answers? In the projects that we first worked on, we were able to prove that the models were not representing the intensity of the flooding. And we were able to double the capacity of the local stormwater infrastructure project. So they added $5 million to it, and it will now be the largest underground stormwater management system in the region. And it was because we were able to prove that we needed to remodel the neighborhood. So that was one of our big successes. We've had a lot of success also in monitoring urban heat And I know you, one thing about the water community is that y'all recognize that these are ecosystems and they feed into each other. So wherever we have urban heat islands, we also have urban flooding, and that they are integrated systems, and our biggest enemy is pavement. So if you can engage on one, then you can engage on the other. So when it is dry, you can also have those heat events that you can engage a community around. And that green infrastructure, or kind of the way that we do the planning, should be integrated. We should not be so siloed. So ISeeChange also tries to target every demographic. We're one of the most popular tools in the US for citizen science. So we're in a lot of science classrooms. And we pair youth to interview the elderly, who have some of the most incredible knowledge about a neighborhood, but are least likely to attend a public meeting. In fact, most of the people who are most impacted by climate change are not going to publicly engage in your workshops or your stakeholder meetings, and therefore they're being missed. And even in some of the more, and I feel like neighborhood knowledge, especially as we start to realize that we need to get away from these centralized systems. I just saw Dr. Suresh pop back in, and it reminded me of our conversation. I think neighborhood systems require neighborhood level data. And really understanding that your public is actually your greatest asset and your greatest vulnerability in whether or not these projects have the intended impacts that they require. So really stop thinking about the checkbox engagement aspect, or isn't it nice we're engaging the kids? Actually, we've actually taken data from students in classrooms and proven that certain streets are really dangerous for them to cross during major flood events. And I've added that into a public data set and changed designs. So, really thinking around this new dynamic as a continuum, and that stakeholders, particularly the municipalities, don't know everything. They can't. And when they assume that they do, they make mistakes. And so here we are as a tool that can engage anyone, anywhere, on their own time, in their own ways. And as we see patterns, we can add granularity. If floods over there, great, let's recruit somebody to keep a rain gauge and everybody take pictures. Is it really an urban heat island over there? Great, we'll give you a really cheap temperature sensor to measure indoor heat and outdoor heat. And the sensor is not perfect, but it is calibrated to itself, and I can match it to a local heat sensor network. I can install a heat sensor network. So we do see our future in terms of integrating community data alongside some of the IoT networks that are going to be coming and defining our communities. And what we want to get away from is this sense of surveillance, right? A smart city surveillance system is not smart. Working with your citizens to create integrated systems to adapt to climate change is the smartest sensor network. So please play around on ISeeChange.
All right.